Hi, my name's Zach, and thank you so much for having me here. It's been a pleasure, sincerely, getting to sit in on seminars earlier today. I don't know if another gathering like this exists in the world. I know I've never been to one. I've been to so many conferences, more than most 23-year-olds probably, and this is truly something special. And then the fact that you would invite me to come and speak is just a huge honor. Well, I know I only have a couple minutes here, but I also want to say thank you for believing in my generation. The fact that you guys gave an entire session to young people is also something rare and something beautiful. I know that a lot of previous generations like to complain about the generations that are coming up, and to see you saying, we're going to bring you along, we're going to give you a platform because we believe that you're not just the future, you're the present, and that means a lot. But today I want to talk about justice, I want to talk about defending the vulnerable, and I want to talk about love. And for some of us, this will be an affirmation of what we already know and are beginning to understand how to practice in our lives. And for some of us, this will be a very real challenge. I'm not sure which one it is for me today. But first, I want to tell you a little bit of my story. This particular part of my story begins shortly after I turned 12. It was Black History Month, and I was learning about what to me is the biggest blemish on the face of American history, which is slavery, and the fact that people with my skin color thought it was okay to own other people simply based on the color of their skin. And as I was learning about this in history class, I would find myself getting angry, and that seemed like kind of a unique reaction among my classmates, because people were like, this is just history, this is what happened, and sure, it was bad, but as I was reading about it, I imagined friends of mine in those situations, and I got really angry, but I felt like it was too late in history for me to do anything to help change the world. I thought it was too late in human history because all the big battles had already been fought, is what I thought. I thought slavery had already been abolished, and that all was said and done. And it was around that time that I found out there are more than 27 million people physically enslaved around the world today. I found out about human trafficking, and I got angry all over again. And it was at that point that I realized something that I've carried with me since then for the last 12 years, which is that we have emotions for a reason. It's not enough to feel angry, it's not enough to feel sad, it's not enough to feel guilty when we're confronted with the suffering of others. The reason why we have emotions is to motivate us into action. And so that's what I did. I started a fund and awareness raiser called Loose Change to Loosen Chains, basically just trying to raise money and awareness about the plight of modern day slavery. And I honestly believe that if people realized how easily they could get involved, how easily they can make a difference, that everyone would have a desire to stand for a noble cause. And I think most people want to know that their life counts, that we can do something here and now in terms of helping someone else. And I think most of us think we're pretty good people who would readily come to the aid and defense of somebody who is defenseless, somebody who is being abused or picked on if they're in immediate danger. And many of us here do. Many of you do. We give to charities or are directly involved in tangibly meeting people's needs, even on a daily basis. But I want to talk about something that's been messing with my brain for a little bit, which is how does this reflect in our personal lives? Because in my own life, I say I care about people who've been marginalized. I say that I care about making sure people feel included, yet I often find myself with my back against the wall, swinging a proverbial sword, not defending the oppressed or what is actually right, but defending myself, my opinions, and what I think is the right way of doing something. And the thing is, we only have so many words in a day. We only have so many hours in a day. And I find myself, I don't know if any of you struggle with this, but I find myself spending my energy, spending my words on behalf of myself, on behalf of petty disagreements, on behalf of things that sometimes don't really matter. And that's inconsistent with my public self, with who I say I am and who I may appear to be. The prophet Isaiah said, "Seek justice, help the oppressed, defend the cause of orphans, fight for the rights of widows." Do we think this applies only to one set of people, this kind of behavior? Can we speak up for those whose voices are being suppressed and then treat our families or friends like garbage? Do we think that we can vote to be a voice for the voiceless and then look the other way when someone is mistreated in our own community? Do we think we can sign petitions and click like on Facebook when it comes to fighting injustice around the world and then ignore a sexist, racist, or homophobic comment? The answer has to be no. And I could stand up here and speak all day about righting wrongs committed against people, about peaceful resistance and defending the vulnerable, but if I'm not living that out on the micro scale in my everyday life with a cashier at a shop or when my best friend calls me needing a favor, I am a hypocrite. What I'm talking about is consistency between our public self and our private self. When I was researching for my second book, I came across an article by a young woman named Dara Fisk-Eckinger. And Dara wrote about an instance of racism that occurred in her community, which was clearly horrible and tragic and offensive. But she continues by describing how we all descended from the same people, how we are all one people. We are united in our humanity regardless of skin tone or ethnic heritage. And this reminds me of the South African concept of Ubuntu, which I'm not sure I'm pronouncing correctly, but it can be roughly translated as human kindness or humanness, but is often used to describe the bond that connects all humanity, our mutual humanity. And I see this concept reflected in the songs of the American abolitionist movement of old, in particular one song called "If One of Us is Chained, None of Us is Free." And I'm sure many of you have heard of this, but I think it's an important reminder nonetheless. My point is this: our freedom and our very humanity is inextricably linked to that of each other. If someone is being hurt and we look the other way, we are, as Sir Edmund Burke pointed out, complicit in the triumph of evil. But when we speak up, when we take action to support and defend the humanity of another, we are not only lifting someone else up, we are elevating our own humanity as well. And this brings me to the crux of what I believe all of this is about: love. And not a warm, fuzzy feeling that's mostly hormonal and makes you feel like you've eaten an entire bar of chocolate by yourself, but a love that makes people willing to lay down their lives for what they believe in and for the freedom of others. So often we rush to defend ourselves and a reputation, or to fight about petty things or things that are impermanent, things that don't last. But as a person of faith, I feel that I've given up my right to be personally offended. We need to be the people, the women and men who rise above the level to which we are naturally inclined and instead fight for what really matters. And this brings me to my last point. In the words of Rosa Parks, I would like to be known as a person who is concerned about freedom and equality and justice and prosperity for all people. This is my deep hope, dream, and prayer for my generation. If we are to be known for anything, let it be this.